Montana is famously known for its blue ribbon trout rivers.
Nope, fish on.
However, there are threats that could potentially hijack this delicate ecosystem.
It's a pretty nasty story when it comes to dry-sended mussels in a river system. And all streams lead somewhere, so eventually they would just spread and spread and spread and probably end up throughout Montana at that point.
AIS specialists Russ Hartzell and Jaden Duckworth have the day off to go fishing. I've taken the opportunity to tag along to learn more about aquatic invasive species and their potential threat to Montana's cold water fisheries.
The first step of that fishing trip is going to be stopping at the boat inspection station there at Clearwater Junction.
Watercrafts, that means stand-up paddleboards, kayaks, pack crafts, and boats need to go through an inspection when entering the state, crossing the divide, or entering the Flathead Basin. Once at the check station, you'll be asked a series of questions that pertain to your watercraft.
So what waters were you in last?
Clark Fork.
This is a vital step to protecting Montana's waters. Aquatic invasive species, also known as AIS, are animals, plants, or pathogens that are non-native to Montana's ecosystem. And once introduced, they can be extremely hard to eradicate. These species are so small, they can be hiding in nets, anchors, and under boat trailers. So be patient and kind with your inspector. Once you've been approved of a clean watercraft, you'll receive a proof of inspection form.
Beautiful day. Blackfoot's doing really well. It gets a lot of use. There's a lot of commercial guides that use this river. All in all, probably one of the top trout fisheries in the state. Also great for recreating. Like any river that gets a lot of fishing pressure, one of the main aquatic invasive species we're on the lookout for here would be things like New Zealand mud snails. Easily transported in your gear and equipment or on your anchor. It's really important to make sure that you clean, drain, and dry your equipment before and after each use, and just to make sure that you're not transporting anything from place to place as you recreate around the state.
It's a whitey. Count it. I mean, water is life, and once I started working as a boat inspector, I started to understand that even more, where like I always grew up on rivers or near rivers. It was always just kind of an escape, and not even just for like fishing, but just being out there, something that just draws people and animals and all life to it. Now I have the motivation of having brought another generation into the world that I want to leave all these resources as good as I had them or better.
The impact of AIS on Montana's cold water fisheries could be profound, with far-reaching consequences that extend to all the inhabitants of these waters.
The Blackfoot wouldn't change to the untrained eye very quickly. The first signs would be you would start seeing them on shore attached to rocks. But slowly over time, they would just, one of the things about mussels, dry-sended mussels, is their rapid rate of reproduction. And so once they get into a system, it's pretty much impossible to get them out, especially a river system. So, it would affect the fish because of the filter feeding that they do, and the food web would be disturbed, so the bugs that the fish feed on wouldn't have enough food. It's a pretty nasty story when it comes to dry-sended mussels in a river system, just because they float downstream, and all streams lead somewhere, so eventually they would just spread and spread and spread and probably end up throughout Montana at that point.
Nope, fish on.
That feels trouty. Woo! That's a whitefish.
In addition to check stations, Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has a specialized AIS dive team. The team is tasked with diligently safeguarding, surveying, and maintaining that the state's water is clear of AIS.
So it's kind of our mission, is just to educate the public as to the steps they need to take. And if we all work together, you know, it's something that we can hopefully get a handle on before it becomes too much of a problem.
Trout.
And when it's time to anchor up, the fishing trip isn't complete without, you guess it, clean, drain, dry.
That is now a clean boat. That additional step of just putting some hot water on it is the best step we can take to make sure we're not transporting anything between water bodies. So in addition to cleaning everything off there at the boat ramp, coming through the car wash is a great way to just ensure that our risk is reduced for spreading anything, and then also we'll get through the inspection station quicker because we've already taken the steps to clean, drain, dry and made the life for the inspectors a little bit easier.